There's a little bit of a delay. I think I see the countdown now. Do you see the countdown? Yeah.
Yep, this is live on my screen.
All right. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to, we're calling this Greezyz Live, but I don't know if we're going to continue to keep doing them live or not. But right as of right now, we are live. So we've got Zac Parks from Wired Customs. Zac and I met 2019, I think it was. Was that the 2019?
Somewhere around there.
It was definitely pre-COVID, so it had to be 2019.
Right.
You put a thing out that said, "I'm trying to make trog. Anybody want to help?"
Yeah, 20 days to build a whole car.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what, man? I mean, that's what I do. I help veterans, so why not? So I got a hotel room and headed up, and we started working on a car. And then it's funny is I own that car now, or some of it anyway.
The body.
Yeah, the body. Yeah, I remember you had that guy. Gosh, his name's left me. What was his name?
Richard.
Richard. They had Richard there, and then Fred came one day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A couple of friends of yours that I consider friends now. You know, from meeting them. But we sure did. I spent 3 days. I worked my butt off too, man. We was humping.
Oh, we made it though.
Yeah,
got it on the beach.
You sure did. Yeah, you sure did for sure. Yeah. So anyway,
and I rebuilt that rear axle. I rebuilt all the brakes. I rebuilt the transmission. I mean, went from flathead 4-cylinder, a flathead V8 in there. I mean, it was a lot of work in 20 days.
Yeah. Well, I remember, you know, running the brake lines, you know, and like it seemed like everything that we touched on that brake line, it was a different fitting. So you don't exactly live right next door to now, you know.
Right.
So it was just bam, 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 gone. So, but anyway, welcome, Zac. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining me. This is you know, something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm glad to have, you know, friends on to kind of help finalize and I guess maybe refine this process, if you will. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem. I think there's so much room for car culture, content, you know, media. Because when I'm at home wanting to watch some car stuff, there's just never enough car stuff, especially the type of cars I like, you know.
Right.
I don't want to watch graveyard cars. I want to watch something a little, you know, different, you know. So yeah. I always like seeing new podcasts and new streams and just new anything when it comes to the type of cars we like, you know.
Yeah. Well, a little introduction. Zac Parks from Wired Customs grew up in his dad's hot rod shop, right?
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, grew up in his dad's hot rod shop. Joined the Army. Deployed to Afghanistan. Did you deploy to Iraq too? I couldn't remember.
Nope, just Afghanistan.
Nope. Okay, deployed to Afghanistan. We'll talk about your military service a little bit, but deployed to Afghanistan, came home, got out, married the nicest woman in the world, and how she ever decided that she was going to pick you, I still haven't figured out, but she did.
It took a lot of convincing.
And then fast forward through that, big car guy, you work. You still work for the government. I guess we're allowed to say that. I don't know. I'm assuming we are. You can.
Yeah.
But you now as a civilian, but you also have your hot rod shop, and you build some really cool hot rods. And been 4 months ago, we had a kid.
Oh yeah. 4 months, almost exactly now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So awesome. Anyway, so let's get into because it's going to be really easy how you got into cars because you're working in your dad's hot rod shop. So let's talk about that experience a little bit. What was that like? What did you learn? What was you know, just tell me the story.
Yeah, my dad and both of his brothers, so 2 uncles, all build hot rods, like restore, like hardcore build, not just twiddle. They do legitimate full restorations. Then my cousins, they build traditional hot rods. That's the side of the family that does traditional hot rods. And their dads, they build hot rods. I mean, so when we'd have big family get-togethers, it'd look like a car show, you know, outside, and just a bunch of different style cars. My dad and my uncles were real big into the late 60s, early 70s cars. Then some of my more distant family were into more traditional hot rods, even though my dad had a 47 Ford Coupe growing up. But he did like the Mustang too, small block, swapping everything in it.
Yeah.
And I just grew up around a lot of car culture because some of my dad's buddies, they were hot rodders big time, like huge, competing at the shows, not revealing the car until the day of the show type hot rodders,
Oh, wow.
And I'd go over to their garage and play in there, on the weekends and watch some, $500,000 priced cars, being built. Then Sundays we'd go in the garage and work on our stuff, 67 Fairlane and 47, Ford and GTOs. And when I was younger, I watched my dad build a Shelby Cobra, like a 428 car or whatever it is, the old school 65 coupes. And just been around it constantly my whole life. Then I got lucky enough that I ended up working in that shop that I grew up in, my dad's buddy's shop that built high dollar hot rods. Vintage Fabrication is still a good friend of mine, so I'm not afraid to give him a little shout out.
What was the name again?
Vintage Fabrication in Independence, Missouri.
Independence, Missouri. Oh, I love that name too, Independence. That's America right there.
It's a very patriotic city, that's for sure.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So was you worked there through high school while you were in high school?
I worked there when I got out of the Army, as soon as I got out of the Army.
Oh, when you got out of the Army. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. So did you work there at all before Army, before graduation of high school, or was you just a peeky poo out around the corner watching all the time?
Just hanging out all the time, but my dad did get hired to sew things up there. My dad's real good with leather. So he would go over there for the weekend.
That explains something to me right there.
Yeah. My dad would get hired out as a subcontractor at the hot rod shop, and he would hand stitch leather onto the roll bars. And he did some of the baseball, like famous baseball players, roll bars in their cars and seats and stuff like that. So my dad would be over the weekend working, and I'd hang out.
So that explains, because a lot of people haven't gotten to this yet, but it explains that sewing machine behind you right there. So we got. Oh, there's my favorite poster. It scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's ripped from Yellowstone. We always put it in our spare bedroom. We have guests come over.
Yeah, well, I'm going to jump off topic a little bit. When I go to Zach, I stay at his house with him, and I stay in the guest bedroom up there. And one night I was walking in, and I didn't know that daggone life-size thing was standing in the corner over there. And I walk in, and I turn the light on, and I see somebody standing there, man. I mean, you just about had holes in the wall because I was
standing in the dark.
Yeah. Oh my God, it scared me to death, and it scared me. And then after that, I knew it was there, and it still scared me. But yeah, so I'm glad to see that's got moved into the sewing room. But, But anyway, yeah, we haven't got into it. We'll talk a little bit about it. But yeah, you do some interior work, some seats work. You've done some upholstery work for me on that Roadster pickup truck that we gave away. So yeah, so now that I did not know that about your dad. So that really
he did a lot of like actual saddles, like horse saddles, like that is way more intricate leather working than doing automotive upholstery, because you're like hand forming pictures and patterns, and there's way more intricate stuff to do in a horse saddle than there is just doing a seat in a car. A seat in a car is easy compared to that.
Yeah. So you kind of did that. Now, high school, you finished high school. Did you go straight into the Army out of high school?
No, I went to college. I got my associates in applied science, which actually was just an automotive class. So I'm actually college degree automotive technician.
Man, you're highly educated.
I was fully ASC certified. I actually had it long enough to become an ASC Master Tech and a Ford Master Tech. So I went to Ford specific training, Ford school, and got my Master Tech there at the end. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I kind of took a similar path, but I didn't finish. I got out of school, out of high school. I was pretty good at golf. I went to school on a golf scholarship, but but I didn't get educated until after because I didn't go to class, and they didn't like that. I'm not sure. They just like, you got to go to class while you're here, and I'm like, the heck with that. I came to play golf. But that's how I ended up in the military myself, was because I got kicked out of school, and I think Dad was going to kick me out of the house real soon too. So, but anyway, what made you decide to join the Army?
I just always wanted to do it. Ever since I was a little
Oh,
kid, it's something I always wanted to do. And
yeah,
even after going to college and getting a good job, I was actually a transmission mechanic at a Ford dealership, which is, top notch stuff, ASC
yeah.
certified transmission mechanic. And I was like, I still want to just join the military, and I decided to do it when I was still young. So I joined when I was 21.
Okay, I got you. And then, what year was that? What year did you go in?
2012, technically.
2012.
Yeah.
And then, so you go in the Army. What was your MOS?
91 Fox is the name, but it's small arms and artillery repair. So basically just a gunsmith for the Army.
Gunsmith for the Army. That's what you
Yeah.
did throughout your whole time in the Army too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gunsmith. I was at anybody's military that they know I'm at the BSB level, and I was in charge of like 8 or 9 armories, depending on which BSB I was working for at the time. And I had, I don't know, maybe 12 armorers that I was in charge of, and
Yeah.
so it was a pretty big operation at the BSB. First Cab was where I was. So if anybody knows First Cab, there's a lot of ordnance. I mean, I was probably in charge of like $5 or $6 million worth of weapons at the time.
Yeah. I know you and I have had these conversations before, beforehand, whatever. There's Sean Folker, by the way. He's a lieutenant colonel, served in Afghanistan. Thanks, Sean, for your service.
Oh, nice.
So but you were in Afghanistan as a armorer, if you will, I guess. But we've talked a little bit offline. You got to do some pretty cool stuff with like some special forces guys because of that too, though, right?
Yeah, so I was a couple steps above armorer. I never sat in the arms room or anything like that. I only just came to the arms room to check in on the armorers and work on the
Oh, okay.
weapons. But that position allowed me to also give support to some special forces guys. Yeah, we gave support to the Punishers, and we got to go to the range with them, which was Chris Kyle's unit, and
Oh, yeah.
we got to go to the range with them and just dump ordnance out of the wazoo. Because when they show up, they have infinite ammo, and like, hey, get over here, come try this out. And
Yeah.
we got to run through scenarios and stuff. It was pretty cool, but no, it was awesome. My Afghanistan was actually pretty interesting, flying in Chinooks from base to base, and the back doors open, and Black Hawks in the middle of the night. We did a lot of no light. I don't remember what it's called now, but it was you had to get on the Black Hawk, fly, land without having any light source at all the whole time. So we were in NVGs and carrying all of our gear and weapons and jumping in and out of the Black Hawks in the middle of the night with NVGs on. And that's how I hurt my knee, because when they do those type of flights, they touch down, then pick up.
Yeah.
And you only have the touchdown to get out. And I don't know why, but he touched down. Then I leaned over to grab my toolboxes. And by the time I stood up with them, he was already taken off, and I had to jump out. And I hurt my knee because I had 7 fully loaded magazines. I had my M4 fully loaded. And then I had 2 toolboxes full of this bunch of different weapon parts, because I was going there to work on weapons. I'd go base to base to base to work on weapons. And so I jumped out. I don't know. I probably had like 300 pounds worth of gear when I jumped out of that helicopter.
Oh, man. And for those that don't know, that are watching, NVGs, for the people that aren't, that's night vision goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how far was that drop? How far did you jump?
I have no idea, but it does not take very far for 300 pounds to hurt yourself.
No, it doesn't. No.
I mean,
No.
I felt the plane coming up, and I was like, oh, crap, this jumped out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Because you didn't want to go back.
Yeah. It was probably 2 feet, but it didn't feel very good.
Oh, no, not with 300 pounds. I guarantee it. So, what was your most favorite memory of the Army? What's your most favorite thing that you like to revisit, talk about? What's your favorite thing?
Well, I have really a lot of bad stuff, honestly, but the favorite things
we
are
all do, but yeah.
the favorite things are far and few between, really. But I enjoyed, in a weird way, I enjoyed being honor guard, which was I got to do the 21 gun salute and fold the flag
Oh
over
yeah,
the coffin. And it was a weird enjoyment. It was more like pride than anything, maybe. But
yeah, yeah. You're honoring those
um,
guys, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, we drilled and drilled and drilled and got real good at it. And I was on that after deployment as a it's supposed to be our relax, like calm down. But if we didn't have one, we didn't do anything, which was nice. But I don't know, it felt very patriotic to do that. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. I was fortunate when I was into not, even though I went to the Gulf, you know, kind of for the Navy's kind of a little different when we go to the Gulf and we go to the war, which I was a lot younger than you, a lot before you, but you get to stop off in Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore. You get to see all those places, so that was all kind of fun. But then you realize that they're letting you have a little fun before they go over there and just absolutely work their brains out for 6 months.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we have a thing in the Navy. If you're getting turf and surf, steak and lobster, or crab legs or something, something bad the next day is about to happen.
Yeah, you're about to work on the flight deck on 200 degrees all day or something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, well, anyway, man, so you got out, and then I know this, so I'll just go ahead and kind of lead you into it. You actually started as a civilian teaching weapons courses for the Army, didn't you?
Yeah, I was a military contractor for a while, and I was a military instructor. Instructor writer is the actual term of it at the time. And yeah, we got to teach not just the Army, but I taught Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and foreign dignitaries how to work on these weapons as a gunsmith. So, we would I don't know all the logistics, but I guess we would sell our armaments to like the Philippines and allies and stuff. And when we did that, their group of armament people would come over and would need to get a course on how to actually work on, maintain, troubleshoot, stuff like that. And my specialty was belt fed machine guns. So I got to teach, people who didn't even speak English how to work on 249s, 240s, 50 cal, stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Then I had to take them to the gun range and safely fire these weapons without being able to communicate in the same language. So I
No
became
interpreters?
no interpreter, no, because it'd be this week would be a group of Filipino guys, the next week it'd be a group of like I don't know guys from Kazakhstan or something, So
Yeah.
there's no way you could have an interpreter ready for the different types of people that come in. But that was really personally rewarding teaching the MOS class that I went to. So it was the exact same room, Jeff, that I went as a private and learned how to do
Oh wow.
my school. I was the instructor in the same room now. So that was pretty cool. I guess that's another cool memory to have. But yeah, that was fun. And I shot thousands of rounds every Friday, Jeff,
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of trigger time, 240, 249, 50 cal. And that was before I was an instructor. Then as an instructor, it's just like, oh, I have no idea. Probably millions of dollars worth of ammunition, probably.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, we've shot together a few times. You're a big revolver guy too. It's a lot of people that
Yeah.
you like the revolvers.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like the cowboy guns a lot. It's just fun,
yeah.
historically fun. And I also like driving stick shift cars, right? So
Yeah.
I like shooting revolvers and lever actions because there's more going on. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just a mechanical person,
Yeah.
and that's why I like that kind of stuff. But the funny part I didn't say about the 249 240 class, I got really good at it because I was teaching it every week, right? So at some point I started doing if you can take this apart and put it back together faster than I can with one hand, you pass my class for free.
Oh wow.
And every week I challenge the whole class that, and there's always some punks thinking they could one up me, and I just like flip the whole thing apart with one hand real quick and put it back together. And they're like, they're trying it real hard with two hands. I'm like, I'm already done.
Yeah.
So every week I got to beat some young punk who
There
thought he
you
was
go.
the hot
Put them
stuff.
in line.
Yeah, I started doing it blindfold there towards the end.
Yeah. Now we'll go ahead and cover this now, and then we can move into the car stuff. And I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about this, but you still work. I don't know your job now. Maybe you just should just say what you do now. I'll let you say what you can say.
Yeah, in general tense, in general terms, I am a DoD civilian who works on government contracts, basically.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice, very good. I wasn't sure how much of that I would have botched that. I would have completely botched that. So, but okay, but now let's go back. Let's go back in time a little bit because you get out and then now you went to work for in Independence, Missouri for the hot rod shop. Yeah, what was you doing
yeah.
there? When was that? When was that time frame there?
I got out in 2016, so it was right around that time.
Okay.
For a very short time, I was a painter for a company that restored old bathtubs and sinks, and I painted. There's a special formula, Jeff. You'd probably be impressed with it. That it was a type of oh man, I can't think about it right now. An acrylic paint, but it was really legitimate. You could paint a clawfoot tub, this white paint, acrylic paint, and it'd be just like brand new porcelain when you got done with it. So,
Yeah.
paint, wet sand, and polish that. I did that for a short time. Then, um, every day on my way home, I went past the hot rod shop and saw what they're working on and said, "So when are you going to hire me, Bobby? When are you going to hire me?" And I said it every single day for months on my way home. "Hey, Bobby, I'm ready to work. Tell me, I'll show up tomorrow morning." Just like how I did you when I wanted your car, Jeff. Just
Oh
called you
yeah.
every single
Yeah.
day. And he's like, "All right, come in tomorrow." And I was like, "I quit. I quit my job." Came in the next day, and it helped because I was ASE certified, so I was actually a legitimate mechanic. But there's quite a bridge to gap between restorationist and mechanic. He put me in a installer was my official title.
Uh-huh.
So I did wiring harnesses, radios. I would recover seats that were they came in a kit, recover kits, and installed new engines and transmissions, stuff like that. So just installing stuff into something that was already painted, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And while I was there, the other guys, they would teach me stuff. One guy started teaching me how to sew on the sewing machine, and that facility, Bob's facility, is beautiful. He has a top of the line everything, top of the line lifts, top of the line sewing machine, top of the line, you know, uh, metal shaping equipment, and so I got to like when he had big panels and he had to English wheel the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need someone there to support it so it doesn't just droop down on the other side
Right.
because the panel's so big. So whenever Bob was English wheeling something, I'd be on the other side just catching it to make sure it doesn't droop over and give us the wrong shape. So as he's wheeling it, I'm wheeling it on the other side, hanging on to it, and I'm getting the feel for it just by just helping support the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of instances like that where I'm just there as a supportive role that I learned like just drastic amount of things in a short period of time, just because he has been such a top level car builder for decades. So yeah, I was really lucky to get that job. I annoyed the crap out of him just to get it. Then it helped me bridge the gap between doing stuff on the weekend as a weekend hot rodder to actually being a professional hot rodder. So that was a
Yeah.
huge deal.
So what was your first hot rod after you got out? And after you started, maybe you started working there, built you a hot rod. What was it?
I built that 65 F100 when I got
I
out of the
know it's going to
Army.
be that
Yeah,
F100.
before I worked for Bob, I had that car, and it was real rough. It was the funny part was the paint on the outside was beautiful, and at the time it was patina, but that wasn't popular yet.
Yeah.
Um, and I just polished it. I said, "Screw it, I'm not gonna paint it." I just polished it. Then I cut the whole floorboard out and made, I bought floor pans and I can't think of the name, cab corners and everything for it from LMC truck, and they didn't fit. So I just threw it away and made some stuff from scratch because all that stuff really doesn't matter. It's supportive structure underneath the floor. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like the original equipment. It just has to
Right.
do its job, right? So I
Yeah.
just made it all from scratch. Then I got a lot of good compliments from it because everyone else was complaining that the cab supports and all that from LMC didn't fit the 65s. And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't know." I just like, "Hey, that was junk." Next, so
Yeah. Right.
I got me a lot of attention building that truck at the time. I put the 5.8 fuel injection in it. then I had to 4-speed, and I like to have fun, you know. Not everything has to be practical. I put a real big shifter in it, so it was almost touching the ceiling when I was driving it, and you could look through the back window on that. If you're driving behind me, you saw me like shifting the gears.
Yeah, that was
it was
back before Crown Vic was popular too.
yeah. I would do that today if I had all that stuff. If I
Yeah.
found a cheap Crown Vic or whatever, I'd do that. But yeah, no, that was fun. But before all that, you know, I helped my dad, you know, chop the top on his 47 Ford. Not like a young kid type help stuff, not like a professional help. But then me and him did a lot of work on that 67 Fairlane. We did floorboards from scratch and body panels, and he showed me how to French headlights, French taillights at the time, which I thought was just normal hot rod stuff. Then when I got older, I realized that's like the legitimate type stuff. You know, I don't know anybody now who's I don't know anyone now that's Frenched headlights and taillights on a 67 Fairlane. You know, guys are like, "Wow, I can't believe you did that," and I'm just like, "Oh, I thought that was just normal stuff." You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know how many times when I was building the America truck, you're like, "Man, you bastard, you're building my favorite truck," you know, and
Yeah.
so I knew that F1 was going to be it, that F100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a black hole for cars. I really like a lot of things, and I hate selling stuff. And that F1, I didn't get to enjoy it for very long after I finished it because it was real popular and a bunch of people wanted it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those vehicles like I would like to build another one and enjoy it this time. So when you built yours, I was like, Jeff, don't sell it. Don't sell it. Just you got it really nice. Just enjoy it for a while.
Yeah, well, I drive it every day. I mean, it's my daily driver. I've got that and the 67, but you know, the 67 F100, I've got it too, which it's an all stock truck. It's got the most popular color scheme, the blue on the white, you know.
Yeah.
But I drive that. I mean, people offer to buy it every day, but me and you are different in this way because, I mean, like you show up with some cash, you're going home with it, you know. I'll drive the 67 till I build it or something, you know. I mean, I've never had a vehicle that I've ever sold that I said, man, I wish I hadn't sold that. For me, I'm just not that way because I just kind of think about what's next, you know.
Yeah.
And but you know, obviously I've been to your place many a time, and I can see that every single vehicle there is probably going to be there when I die, you know,
Yeah.
because I know you and I know how many you got there. So, you know, there's a lot. What my favorite's that 53, your wife's. That's actually one of my favorites that you have there. You had that shoebox for a while though. I like that shoebox. But
yeah, the shoebox was cool, but it had too many doors for me.
Yeah, I had too many doors. You got that 59. Man, you got a lot sitting there. Now that I'm thinking about it, of course, I've got one of yours here now. A 50 Cadillac you're going to be dragging home, getting out of my way.
I want that so bad, Jeff. If you live like an hour from me, I would already have that in my backyard.
And you're going to have to wait till it thaws out just for me to get it out now.
I want it so bad just so I can cut it up into tiny little pieces.
That's what you're going to do with it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't forget, you owe me the motor and transmission out of it.
Oh, that don't bother me. I already have that LaSalle engine and transmission, which what comes around, Jeff, is the LaSalle is one of the best transmissions that goes on to all the Buick engines too. So it's a good transmission to have.
Yeah.
It's a good one to have laying around. I'm more of the type of guy where I like having that laying around to when I need to build something for me. Oh, I got something nice for me sitting in the back. You know, I hate selling stuff like that because, you know, I'm always sell it and make like $3,000. And I was like, okay, well, you know, a couple months, the $3,000 won't mean anything to me. And if I still had that engine and transmission, I have the same. Yeah, exactly. Because me and you both now have that flathead Cadillac motor with a nice transmission, and mine starts up on the floor. You know, I could sell it for a bunch of money, but I don't know. A couple of years from now, I might have something to put it in. A little coupe, you know, Model 8 coupe would be cool with something like that.
Right. Yeah. You know, you kind of is one that got me. Well, I say you and Crew Chief Rick, kind of got me into the flatheads. I kind of wanted a flathead when I built my Model A, but I was like, I don't know. And you're like, hey, I got one here. It's low mileage. It's stuck. You can have it for $300. And I'm like, man, do I really want to give $300 for a stuck engine? Because I'm still thinking like a 289 or 460 kind of a thing,
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll pass it on to you. I'll let you have it for $300, and done me a solid. I know you wouldn't let other people have that, but that kind of hooked me. So it's in the Model A. And for those that don't know that story, we broke that thing apart. We left the heads on it. We broke it apart. I pressure washed that engine. Remember that? I pressure washed the engine inside with the bearings and everything still in it because it was that bad. And I mean, I was covered from head to toe with just black. And pressure washed the inside of that engine out. And we got Rick and my neighbor on each side we had it upside down, and we got on each side of the flywheel. And they were rocking it back and forth, and I was on the front with a big old breaker bar. And we worked that thing like 40 minutes and got it to break loose. Buttoned everything back up, put it on some 4x4s in the floor, and had that thing running that afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that thing runs so perfect. And every time, what do you say to me? How lucky I got, and you bastard.
Oh, yeah. Well, you painted it and made it nice, and now it's worth like $7,000, Jeff. A good running flathead that's low mileage is worth, right now $8,000. As much as I hate saying that out loud, because I don't want to go buy one for that much. I wish they were more affordable, but if you rebuilt it, you would be in it for $8,000. And now you have a flathead that's, I don't know, maybe has a couple thousand miles on it now, but when you got it, it had like 300 miles on it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, we put that in that Model A in May, and in June, my wife and I drove it to Knoxville, Tennessee. We put that T5 behind it, and we headed over the mountain, through the gorge, over the mountain in that thing with air conditioning.
It's a torque monster, thankfully. It doesn't have much horsepower, but it's got torque.
Over the hills with that air conditioning on, but it was nice on flatland. But, I mean, we drove that thing to Knoxville, went to Pigeon Forge, went to Gatlinburg, all that. In that Model A, just painted that Gamma Gold. But anyway, I mean, that little thing just runs and runs and runs. And so how many miles is on. I looked at the odometer the other day when I started it, and it was 2,300 miles I put on it.
Nice. Yeah. You changing oil every 500?
Changing it whenever it starts leaking.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if flathead leaks.
Yeah, we change the oil in at about every 500 miles. Yeah,
Okay, good.
I use the 2050 VR1.
Yeah, you put some zinc additive in there.
Yeah. Well, the VR1 already has it built in.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did you have did that one have an oil filter on it? I don't remember.
No, it didn't. But I have an oil filter I was going to put on it. I just never did.
If you're going to keep it, I'd get around to that at some point.
Yeah, I've actually got that car listed for sale right now. Anybody looking for a nice running Model A with a flathead in it? I got it. It's a Tudor.
I want to buy it so bad, but I can't.
So the story is, and I'll let you tell part of it, but I had a Model A Roadster. I hated that car. Hated it. And you wanted it. So go ahead and tell how you got it.
Well, Jeff would complain about his Roadster, and his complaints were, man, I can't fit in it very well. You're like, what, Jeff, like 6'1" or something?
Yeah, 6'1".
And you complain about fitting in it in your knees and getting it out of the little tiny doors. The doors are really small, And every time I'm like, well, my Tudor, I got the seat way back. I'm relaxing. My legs are straight. Just giving you a hard time all the time. And I like to race mine at Trog and these different races on the East Coast. So better for me to have a Roadster because, as you know now, picking up both bodies to move them, the Roadster is like nothing compared to the weight of a Tudor body.
Yeah.
So it's better for racing. So once you kind of like, oh, maybe we'll trade one of these days. I don't think you're just throwing it out there or not really that serious.
I remember exactly what I said. I said, if you know anybody that's got a Tudor that wants to trade, I'd be interested. That's exactly what I said. Not knowing that my life was getting ready to just be total hell for the next 6 months.
Yeah, every single day I'd tell Jeff about. I'd send him pictures of my legs in the car, like, "Oh, this is so comfy, and look how much room I can move this seat back." Every single day, and like, "Oh man, this would be perfect for a tall guy." Then I'd send Jeff pictures of painted Tudors that look real nice because my body was just primered, and I'd send him pictures every day. Look how cool this looks, Jeff. Look how cool this looks. Bugging Jeff to death till he finally just gave in,
Yeah.
traded me straight up.
I had plans on using that Roadster because it was so, I mean, patina is not even the right word. It wasn't a rat rod. It's not rusted out, but it just had old look, right? The old look. And I was thinking like more along the lines for like a Greezy soap line, kind of promotional piece is where I was thought. So I said, I tell you what, man, I'll trade you. And then I ended up with your Phaeton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
another one I'd like to have back.
yeah. And so I got the Phaeton out there, and I haven't built it, but I don't think I'm gonna paint it. I think it's gonna stay the way it is anyway. But
Yeah.
but you're actually you are really well known for for these old school hot rods now. That's we kind of skipped around, so let's kind of get back on track. You ended up getting married. You married this wonderful woman. You all moved to Virginia. You started a shop out there, just tinkering and playing around, doing old school hot rods and bikes, right? Basically.
Right.
And so now you're really known through all the what's the word I'm looking for all the circles that I travel and I'm a small fish in some of these big circles. Everybody knows who Zac Parks Wire Custom is for old school hot rods, doing 32, 33, 34 chops on the coops. So I mean, you've been out to Vegas with what's his name out there, welder up guys.
Welder up. Yeah,
Yeah,
welder up Steve.
doing lives out there. I mean, so you're kind of well known for that. So what's the future? What are you looking at? What's going on in the shop now? I mean, I know that you've been doing a bunch of 33, 34 chops. Been seeing a bunch of them, and the 42 I know is chops now. But
Yeah, the the 42 is kind of a new direction I'm trying to push in a little bit. I'd like to do some more tail dragger because traditional hot rods are more than just Model A's, honestly. Because if
yeah,
you
right,
went back to 1955, 1957, there was a lot of, shoebox convertibles and shoebox chops and, what people call tail draggers now, but in the 50s, they were just hot rods.
right,
And I'd like to do more of that, and I'd like to do more bikes. But I mean, I've obviously my heart and my experience is really big in the traditional fenderless cars for sure. 28 to 34. I could tell you anything you want to know. What's interchangeable, what's not, what's 1 year only, what size every single bolt is on the entire car, and I could tell you what needs to happen if the different amounts of chops you want to do and how to get a tall guy like you to fit in them. There's a lot of little tips and tricks and things people don't think about, or they think just the roof comes down. They don't think about all the other things that you could possibly do to get a tall guy and a chop car. So, I mean, I have a lot of experience and all that kind of stuff to the point of measuring your back to where your knee is and where your hips are and how long between your knee and your ankle is and stuff like that to know where to put the pedals and how to make your seat from scratch so you fit in it. And I do
yeah,
all that kind of stuff, and I'd like to do more motorcycles. For one, they take up less space because
yeah, yeah,
when you're doing this job full time, you can't just have one customer because one guy can't afford to pay your whole salary for the
yeah,
month. And most people can't afford to pay you full time 30 days a month. So you got to have a couple cars to be full time and be able to work everyone's budget and to work everyone's timeline. People's
right,
timeline is important too. So when you have four cars and you have a rear end out of one and you have the frame off of the other one, there's not that much space. So that's
yeah,
why I'd like to do more motorcycles because they take up no space at all. But then I'd like to do more traditional fender cars like the 42 that I'm doing. It's getting the Carson top and custom fenders and custom this, custom that, and I'm still going to paint it with lacquer. I'm going to brush it on, then I'm going to brush on flames, then I'm going to wet sand it all and buff it like how they would have done in the late 50s in most hot rod places. The high end, super perfect painted cars was like 1 in a million back then. Most cars were painted in
Yeah.
people's driveways and stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in doing. And you can make that type of stuff look really good. I mean, there's a lot of guys, including myself, that can show you some cars that were painted with a brush or a roller and polished to look pristine too. So I don't know. I'm open to everything. 1964 and
Yeah.
older.
I was just going to say, when you helped me do that, actually you found it for me. I came up there and bought it at your place, that Roadster pickup that we done. And you and
Yeah.
I painted it. I hear we were just swapping guns, just going together, and we brushed firewall on it. Yeah. Yeah. To kind
Yeah.
of stay with it. Let me share something here. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, hang on just a
Yeah.
second. I was going
Painted that.
go ahead.
Yeah, we painted that Roadster pickup in your driveway, and I don't know how many compliments I got on the color for one, that we just mixed a couple cans together to make the color. Then two,
That's
how good
all
it
we did.
looked.
I mean, I was giving the thing away for free, right? Giving the thing away for free. I was like, it's getting whatever color this mixes up, Zach.
Right. And it looked good. It was like a battleship blue is what I would call it, and I think it looked really good actually. I kept that. I have like a Rolodex in my brain of colors I really like, Jeff, and that's one of the ones that I keep in my brain that I really like. And another one I'm just waiting to paint something. It is like 1971 MGB green, and it's like that is a traditional hot rod color green, and I need to paint something that color. So I stuck that blue in my Rolodex of my brain of something else would look really good like that, like a battleship reminiscent 32, coupe would look really cool with, battleship blue and some, cool army gauges or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to show your. Let's see if it comes up here.
It did come up a second there, maybe a second ago. Yeah, I saw it.
Did it come up?
It did,
I'm
yeah.
still trying to figure out how to. I don't know. I was going to show that 42, but I can't figure out how to make this thing work. But anyway, that was a 42 two-door sedan that you tried to sell forever. Nobody would buy it. Pre-war car.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, even at one time, I thought about it. But you was like, heck with it, and you just chopped the top off of it, and gonna make it a cool looking little car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my thing
that's
is,
the thing. All these purists, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you're ruining that car." But you know what? You had every chance to buy it. You could have bought it and saved it, but you didn't.
yeah, I had a dirt cheap $2,000 for a car that they only made 2,000 of. They made less 1942 Fords than they did 1934 Fords,
Yeah.
like way less, like 1% of 34 Fords. That's how many 42 Fords they made. But I offered it for $2,000, and it had everything, even the key still in the ignition, every single trim. And I have guys now offering me more money than I had the whole car for sale just to get the stainless steel trim off of it, because it's super rare for those cars to have all the trim, like everything's still on it. And I still couldn't get anyone to come out even to look at it, Jeff. And I was like, well, I've always wanted a 1939 Phaeton like hot rod, and I got this Tudor just sitting here. I'm gonna make this a 1939 Phaeton hot rod. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thought about it at one time, but how many projects? I mean, I'm not going to finish what I got now. You know. So I
yeah,
was like, man. But I did donate a 460 to your wife's 53.
yeah. Oh yeah, I got that nestled safely under our tree.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that 53. That's probably my favorite one you have out there. And then you've got that, and then um, I've
Yeah,
seen some pictures. You got some Model A's there. It looks like you're working on doing some Trog stuff there as
yeah,
well.
another trog car. I built two trog cars last year, and I'm already building another trog car this year for another customer, and
Yeah,
it's turning out really cool. I mean, me and him are like on the same page of what we like. So I'm kind of just building what I would build if I had a
yeah.
28, 29 coupe, you know. And
Well, that's what I would do if I was like, if I was going to hire somebody, like, like if I wanted a traditional hot rod, if anybody came to me and said, "Look, I want to build a traditional hot rod and I want to pay somebody to do it," I'm just going to say, "Go to Zac Parks, take it up there, write a check, leave, and then let him build what he wants, and then you'll have exactly what you want." You know,
right,
Yeah, I mean that's how that would work if that's what I was
yeah,
giving somebody the advice. Because you're right. If it's going to be a traditional type hot rod, I mean, you can say, okay, I want a 40s traditional style rod, or I want a 50s, or I want a 60s. You know,
yeah,
um, you know exactly what it has to go into it. So I mean, I'm tooting your own horn for you, but it's just the truth, and that's the reason why you're so popular in this world. It's because guys know that.
yeah. I appreciate that. And I think one of the things that has got my name out there really is just I'm open to help people. You know, I just want to give people information because if there's more guys building traditional hot rods, then there's going to be end up more available parts. You know, there's going to be aftermarket guys are going to come up with ways to make money. So if
Yeah,
there's more guys wanting flatheads now, okay, there's probably going to be more flathead parts available. You know, more cams, more brake accessories. You know what I mean? So that's the way I
yeah,
look at it. So I'm always open to help people identify stuff, how to work on it, walk them through things because more guys turning wrenches on these type of cars, more availability of, aftermarket stuff we're gonna have. So
right. Well, I mean, how many times I picked up the phone, and called you, and asked you about something, these old school traditional stuff that I don't know much about, and you've also picked up the phone and called me on the newer stuff,
yeah,
uh,
oh yeah.
but it's been pretty cool. So tell me what's in the works. I'll just go ahead and segue into you've got a race coming up. You've
I
got
do
a
have
race.
May 17th of this year. We're going to be in Margarettsville Speedway.
Where's that
It's
at?
a
Margarettville. Where's that at?
Margarettsville, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
It's an old go-kart track, big circle dirt track. It's flat track. So the motorcycles will be racing the flat track, and we don't have any years on the motorcycles. You can come with whatever you got and race it on the flat track. We got guys with cut down Sportsters that are new. We have guys, which I really did not know there was a market for, Jeff, these 70s and 80s flat track racing motorcycles. I didn't know there were so many. Those were the majority of the people that showed up was these 70s and 80s flat track type racers, and they were really cool to see triumphs and all
Oh
sorts
yeah,
of cool stuff, you know. Then obviously we got the flathead guys and the old school Harley guys, all interested in flat track racing. It's really cool to take an old bike around a flat dirt track, and they do a really good job of compacting it. So you don't need a dirt bike. You don't need aggressive tread. It is very, very compacted. When we get there really early, and the guys are there. They'll be compacting the dirt for like 3 hours before the race starts, wetting it, compacting it, wetting, compacting. So it's I like to let people know that you don't need a dirt bike to do these kind of races, and you don't need aggressive tread. You could just cut down something that you got, just take the fenders off it, come up there and race it, which is pretty cool. But
yeah.
then on the other side of this dirt oval, we have dirt drags for the hot rods. So we have traditional hot rods, dirt dragging. You look to your right and watch two traditional hot rods fly by, and they look over to your left, and you see these old motorcycles going around a dirt circle. So there's a lot going on. We had some good food trucks come last year. They're going to be back. We're going to have more. So the property is really big. We have a lot of room to grow. And obviously, I'm working with the 13 Rebels Motorcycle Club. They're really good friends of mine. They're operating the motorcycle stuff of it, and I'm operating traditional hot rod stuff. But we also have a car show in the middle. So
So is there limits on the cars on what years or anything?
on the car show, there's no limit. We just want people to come over and have some fun. What we don't want is guys with 1,000 horsepower cars drag racing in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for safety feature. You know, we don't want to be picky. We just want to have a good time. But if you got too much horsepower, you already know it. You know, you don't accidentally get too much horsepower. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So, you know, you're not going to hook well. And if you're in a car with enough horsepower that doesn't hook well on pavement, you know, it's not going to suit you on the dirt. And we'll just make that depiction there. You know, it's kind of obvious to tell if guys got a lot of horsepower. So if you got just a cool hot rod, take it down the drag strip, the dirt drags a couple times, then just hang out in the car show. You know, it doesn't have to be that serious. Then, you know, the motorcycle side of it, we have a lot of cool motorcycle games. You got to drive your motorcycle across the 2x4 plank without driving off of it. And, you know, motorcycle guys, they know what type of motorcycle games we usually got. Like, we put up this fake wall with a window in it, and you're laying in bed, and someone yells, "Honey, I'm home." Like you're with the dude's wife in bed. You have to get up, put your boots on, jump through the window, then take off on your bike. We time you how long it takes to do that. So just fun, you know, fun stuff like that.
Hey, whoever's really good at that means they've had some practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't be recording anything. That won't go live on that.
That's funny. Well, that's cool. So, you know, we're building that 32 Brookville Roadster here right now. You know, that's gonna have a little 302 in it. It won't be too. It's not souped up. It's a little stock 302, but maybe that'll be done in time. We can talk Sean into dragging that thing up there, and you know, I'll bring the. I don't know. I'd like to come to it. I may bring. I don't know if I'll bring the America truck and bring. Is it a 1 day or 2 day event? What is it?
It's just a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a 1 day. So I don't know. Maybe if I still have the Model A, if somebody's not bought the Model A by then, maybe I'll drive it up, because I think that's about 4.5, 5 hours from me or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you could pull the camper and bring your truck up too. You know, it's you can camp there Friday night. Then Saturday night, you can camp there Friday night. It's available. Saturday night, we're having a party, campfire, live bands, you know, food, stuff like that. So Saturday night, you can camp there too, Saturday night, and actually have some fun with all the guys. You know, we all just hang out and
that'd be cool. I'll come up there and do a. You know, we're getting ready to do that one series, which I'm going to come up and do you. We didn't talk about the. Oh man, your truck. The Martian.
Blue Martian.
Blue Martian. Yeah, we didn't talk about the Blue Martian, but I'm going to come up and interview you about that anyway. But let's talk about that truck before we sign off, because I think people are really going to find the Blue Martian really interesting.
Yeah, there's a big crowd of people that are already following it, and I apologize to them because the Blue Martian is my personal project, and I started building a garage. But it wasn't just put a garage up. I cut down 12 trees, and they were like 4 stories tall each. And then we dug out all the roots. Then I put 210 tons of dirt to level the land off where the garage is going. And it's been a bunch of work that has kept me from my own personal projects. When I finally had a little bit of time, I just wanted to cut the roof off of something. So I cut the roof off of 42. But the Blue Martian is a 1928 Ford Roadster pickup truck with the original convertible top. And you know it's the Roadster pickup truck convertible top because it's not collapsible, which is probably the most rare Model A convertible top. And 3 brothers hot rodded it in 1957 and took pictures of it. And I have the pictures of it when they originally hot rodded it then. Then they hot rodded it again in the early 60s. So it started with a flathead. With all just parts that they found at just the local, dump with random stuff. Then they hot rodded it again in the 60s, and they put a 283 in it. So when I got it, it was set up for a 283 and had a little bit more modern stuff on it than it did in 1957. But the car got put away in 1972 and never driven again until I got it. I haven't driven it yet, obviously. I'm still working on it, but I've been in contact with the original builder. There's one of the brothers is still alive, and I sat down on the phone with him, which is all recorded on one of our episodes, and talked about how he would build it if he had it right now, and he would build it as if it was 1964, 1965 again, because when he had it with the 283 in it, he said it pulled one of the front tires off the ground, And when the new Mustang came out in '65, he said he was spanking the Mustangs left and right on the street with that little roadster pickup. He said, that the Mustangs weren't hot like they talked about in the ads. He was joking
Yeah.
about how the new Mustangs were junk. And so I'm building it exactly like how he built it in 1965, with just a little bit more spice. We have a lot of cool sponsors for it, but I'm still putting F1 brakes on it, and I'm still putting the bicycle fenders and the bob fenders that they did. They bobbed the fenders back then, so I'm still using all the stuff like how they did it back then, just a little bit cleaner than what they did it originally, and it's turning out really cool. And I just haven't had the time for personal projects like I did before building my garage, because now I'm trying to pay for electrical, which is the wiring and the looms and everything is just ridiculously expensive right now. So I gotta double down on customer cars to afford to build my garage. But
Right.
I literally, during all that time of building my garage, I also got parts for this Blue Martian pickup truck. So I have a giant pile of everything I need to do it, even fuel lines, Jeff, even gas tank, even material for the seats. I got everything, and I'm gonna pleat it to death like how they would have done in the '60s. It's gonna have a pleated leather firewall. It's gonna have pleated leather. It's not gonna have carpet. It's gonna have pleated leather all the way across the floorboard and everything like that. So it should be pretty tricked out.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see it. But we're going to come up and do the America's Rides video where we're going to take a tour of your shop and we'll talk more about the Blue Martian then. So they'll actually get to see it and do that. And that's going to be really cool. I want to do that with that and the 42,
Yeah, definitely.
which would be really cool. But we're going to be doing that. But where I was going with that was it'd be really cool, to come up and do an episode of the America's Rides up there with the motorcycle guys too. Maybe
Oh yeah,
one of them sitting down and having an interview or something. We can do that. Go over bikes and
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
pick a few
Jim would
people
love
out of
that.
the car show and stuff.
Oh yeah, Jim would love that. He's the president of 13 Rebels, and their motorcycle club is really really old. We're talking like early 1900s and stuff. So,
Okay.
and they have a lot of
What was their name again? What was the name of it?
13 Rebels. You can actually Google them, and they'll actually pop up. And they have a lot of military history too.
13 Rebels.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, there they are. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. All right, man. All right, brother, man. Anything else coming up big exciting you want to talk about now, or are we good?
Well, I mean, I got a race in 2026 that's going to blow everyone out of the water. They're going to be really surprised, and we're really close to talking about it. So, as soon as I
Yeah.
get the green light, I'm going to be flooding everybody's information and hitting everybody up to talk about it. So, I can't wait to
Yeah.
talk about 2026 race. It's going to be one people are going to put on their calendars.
Yeah. For everybody that's not stayed around this long and didn't get that teaser, we'll do another let's me and you we'll do a recording offline and then I'll upload it to our YouTube and we'll talk about that. Because when that time comes, that's probably the biggest news that's going to come out in 2025 for 2026 that people aren't even thinking about. So it's going to be pretty big news. I'm excited. Obviously, I'm the insider. I know about it, but there's a lot of people that's gonna that's gonna when that hits the old social media platforms. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be
Yeah,
talked
it's
about
going
a
to
lot.
blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get that final answer, we'll do another one in there. So let's go to our comments real quick before we leave. Let's see what's been said. Sean said Blackout was the name of it for your helicopter rides.
Yeah.
Tim Windsor said America, Tim, gotta give that a salute. And he said, "What's up, Jeff, Zach, and Sean? Hey, bud." And appreciate the shout out. And Sean said, "I saw your trog videos. I'm definitely going to check that out one day."
Nice.
And then he said he was definitely in when we was talking about maybe bringing up the 32, his 32 that I'm building right now, up there for that. So, well, I need some warm weather, man. I'm a big baby when it comes to that cold, so I can't work out there. It's just too rough for me. That's that's just part of that's when a lot of people don't know, but when I got I got poisoned in the Navy, and when I got poisoned, it really messed up some of my hormone stuff, and so that makes me like not tolerate cold very well at all. So I just can't do it. Just
Yeah.
just it's just not something I can do. So I need that warm weather.
Yeah, and we're having an abnormal level of coldness right now too. So
Yeah, like snow in Florida, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know, when's that happened? Forever ago. So anyway, man, you know what? I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for doing this with me. It means a lot to me. If you everybody watching, if you share this out, you're going to see a really cool video with a really cool guy, Zac Parks, and a fellow brother in arms, and super cool guy. Go check out his YouTube channel. I'll put it in the comments for y'all. I'll pin that post after this video is done. I'll put your YouTube channel so everybody can go check you out. Follow him on Facebook. So anyway, Sean's guessing cross country pre-war car race. Uh,
that sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound pretty cool. Keep guessing, Sean, but that's I'm not even going to say if it's close or not close because I don't want to give it away. So
Traditional bull run, huh?
yeah, yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, you know what? Cross country pre-war car race. Now he's got me thinking. You could do like a drag and drive, but with pre-war cars.
They did it in Mexico, Jeff, originally in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had cross country races down there.
I didn't know that. Well, we'll talk all night, man. So I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome, man. Y'all appreciate you. Love you. God bless you. Now go do your America. Give that a salute. There you go.